name is Hido, and welcome to the Pantheon, where today we're going into Dungeons and Dragons, step by step, going through every legendary creature. And we've reached, a rather large foot. I can't get over it. It's a bit too big. I'm going to have to climb over Zalto, Fire Giant Duke, who is a giant barbarian weighing in at 5 mana. And he's a 7-3. What an interesting stat line. Who doesn't love a big old 7-3? He has trample, and when he's dealt damage, venture into the dungeon. Venture into the dungeon, I think, is a really, really cool mechanic. I personally enjoy it quite a bit. Very flavorful. And, I'm not sure why a giant is in the dungeon. Maybe he got trapped, maybe some little elflings chased him in there with little sticks and he got scared and had to hide. Who really knows? All that I know is that you should be subscribed to my YouTube channel. What a transition that was. So if you would like this content, please do subscribe. I'm going to be making tons more like it, one for every single legendary creature and much, much more. So without further ado, let's get into my top 5. In at number 5, we have Kick in the Door. 1 mana for a sorcery. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Make our commander into an 8/4. That creature gains haste at the end of turn and can't be blocked by walls this turn. Not too many walls being seen in Commander, but, it could be effective. Plus, venture into the dungeon. And that is the real thing that I'm talking about in this subset of cards. Venturing into the dungeon, yes, our Commander does it for us, but we really need some support cards to go along with it, just to make sure we get through the dungeon. To go along with this, we got the dungeon map, 3 mana for an artifact, tapped for a colour, so that is not that big of an issue in mono red. We will have the red sources for our land, maybe a couple of colourless lands like, maybe Dungeon Descent over there. But this isn't too big of a deck building stumbling block, I guess. Pay 3 and tap it, venture into the dungeon. Activate only as a sorcery. So another great way of, yes, if our commander gets killed, we can keep going through the dungeons over and over again. Then we've got 50 feet of ropes, enough to potentially create a small bridge across a gap. 1 mana for an artifact. You can climb over it. You can tap target wall. Well, target wall can't block this turn, so a lot of wall shenanigans going on here. Tie up, pay 3 and tap it. Target creature doesn't untap during its control's next untap step. So, maybe you're playing against a Voltron deck. They've swung in and you don't want to be hit. Let's tap it down, make sure they can't. And then repel down. 4 mana and tap, venture into the dungeon. Activate only as a sorcery. So another great repeatable way of getting into the dungeon. Really, really nice card. I like it. Nice and flavorful. And look at these, both uncommons. Woohoo, nice and cheap. Although Dungeon Descent is not much money, but it is a rare. And it enters the battlefield, taps and taps for a colours. And you can be 4 and tap an untapped legendary creature you control. Venture into the dungeon. Activate only as a sorcery. I have to say, tapping an untapped legendary creature, I get it, it's on theme, but why isn't this just tap a creature? I don't understand why it's 4 mana anyway, 5 if you include the fact that you're tapping this land, so you're not tapping it for mana. Why not just any creature? Anyway, good card and works well with our commander. And, there are a cool set of legendary creatures in red, so, more than likely we'll be able to tap this. Which brings me on to number 4. And then at number 4, we have Ryle. 1 red mana for a sorcery. It deals 1 damage to target creature you control. That creature gains trample at the end of turn and draw a card. So we want to be dealing damage to our commander to make sure we're getting through the dungeons. So this is going to really focus on dealing like 1 damage at a time. And this card replaces itself with a draw a card. And it's absolutely wonderful. Yes, it gives our commander trample, so it'll have double trample. Which, if you double strike's better than first strike, so double trample must be better in some way. But this is a great card just to fill out the deck. And if, you don't have your commander on the field, you can just cast this on any of your little idiots. And then you're drawing a card, getting deeper to those sort of more impactful cards. Then we've got Flame Jab, 1 red for a sorcery. It deals 1 damage to target creature or player. And Retrace, which is very much like cycling, the best mechanic ever printed. In that you can discard a land to cast this. You're not drawing a card, you're just getting to cast something again. So for 1 red and discarding a land from your hand, you can ping something for one. So you can use this offensively, you know, potentially ended up killing someone, just dealing one to them. Or you can just use this on our commander to keep venturing and venturing and venturing. And a lot of the times late game, you're drawing lands, you don't want to, you know, play them, or you can't play them because you've got so many. So this is a great outlet for getting them into the graveyard. Then we've got Chaos Charm, a single red for an instant. Choose one, target creature is unaffected by summoning sickness turn. So that's actually quite good if we're going for the commander damage win, as our commander is 7/3. This can give him haste for the turn, or it deals 1 damage to target creature, or destroy target wall. So what's the hate for the walls today? You know, we're going hard on the walls. That wall of blossom, boom, you're dead. Really, really cool card. I mean, it could, you know, if you play against Arcades deck, this can 1 mana destroy something. But the main thing is deal 1 damage to our commander and also possibly give something haste. So there's a lot of uses for this card. Very, very powerful, and I like it a lot. Then there's Flame Fusilier, Lad, Marmalade, I don't know, Marmalade. 4 mana, Lady Marmalade. 4 mana for a sorcery until end of turn. Permanents you control gain tap. This permanent deals 1 damage to target creature or player. So, like I was just talking about with Flame Drop, if you've got loads of lands, this becomes fantastic because it's all of your permanents. That includes all of your lands. It's our commander as well. 4 mana, yes, we're going to tap some of our lands to cast this. But then we've got loads of things that can ping. So we can either ping our commander tons of times, get loads of triggers, or potentially kill our opponents with loads of pings to the face. Really, really good. Or actually, just, you know, control the board. Wipe the board of everything using your lands. Very, very nice. Then, so speaking of Goblin Sharpshooters, something that, you know, does that quite a lot. 3 mana for a 1/1. It doesn't untap during untap, so boo. Although, whenever a creature dies, untap Goblin Sharpshooter. Hooray! In tap, deal 1 damage to target creature or player. So absolutely fantastic here. This can just absolutely wipe out boards of tokens. Really, really powerful effect. And you can just use this on our commander, potentially, you know, untap it when, you know, you sacrifice something or something on your opponent's side dies, you know, maybe in their turn, tap it again, not kill our commander, ping him a little bit, get those venture triggers. Then we've got Pyromatics, which is 2 mana for an instant with replicate for 2 mana, which means when you cast this, copy it for each time you pay the replicate cost. So this is really good because instants can be used on our opponent's turn, because on our turn, okay, our commander has 3 toughness, so we can potentially ping him twice on our turn, but at the end of that turn, all of the damage wears off, and then in our opponent's turn, we can ping him again. So Pyromatics for 2 mana, can ping it once, but for 4 mana, ping it twice. Really, really nice, and you can use it on your opponent's creatures as well. So if we're flooding out, got loads of mana, we can ping things to death. Then we've got Pyrohemia, very similar card in terms of being able to use it on our opponent's turn and our turn. 4 mana for an enchantment at the beginning of your end step. If no creatures are on the battlefield, sacrifice it. Pay a red, it deals 1 damage to each creature and each player. I'm just going to mute my phone. Sorry about that. So, really, really powerful effect. Just constantly using it. 1 red to just ping, 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 ping. Get tons of venture triggers. Really, really nice. Which brings me on to my number 3 slot. And in number 3, we've got Brash Taunt. We're going to be dealing damage to our commander, but let's have a couple of creatures that we want to be dealing damage to anyway. 5 mana for a 1/1. Ooh, nice. Creature, Goblin. It's indestructible, so it's never going to die. Even if we keep dealing lethal damage to it, it just won't die. It'll just sit there going, give me more. And then when it's dealt damage, it does that much damage to target opponent. And then finally, 3 mana and tap it if fight another target creature. So this is exceptionally good with all of those pinging things. You know, we keep pinging this instead of our commander maybe. Really, really nice. It just deals tons of damage to our opponents. But the really cool thing is that 3 mana, it fights another target creature. And it's a 1/1. So we can use this, tap it, to fight our commander, which will trigger our venture into the dungeon. And then the Brash Taunter will deal 7 damage to one of our opponents. Really, really awesome card in this deck. And it's a goblin, so absolutely wonderful. To go along with this, we've got Stuffy Doll, 5 mana for a construct, indestructible. When it enters the battlefield, choose a player, so not quite as good. You have to commit to one player that you're really going to be targeting down. Whenever it is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to the chosen player. And it taps to deal 1 damage to itself. So again, not as good as the taunter in so many ways, but the artwork, I think, is just infinitely better. It's horrible. It really, really is. Look at that thing. It's just covered in ketchup and blue sauce. Is there a blue sauce? No. Blue cheese dressing, but it's not that blue. Anyway, we're going crazy here. Blazing Sunsteel, 2 mana for an equipment. A quick creature gets +1/+0 for each opponent you have, so it'll generally be 3/0. And whenever a quick creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any target. So this is really cool. We can slap it onto our commander, make him into a 10/3, slam in, then whenever we deal damage, we're going to spread it around to any target. And because it's any target, we can point it at creatures as well. So we can use this as a miniature little board where I keep pinging our commander, then ping things to death. And if we give him death touch, actually, we can ping things even more. Then we've got Silver-clad Ferocidons. 7 mana, I was going to say 5, for an 8/5 with Enrage, which means whenever it's dealt damage, each opponent sacrifices a permanent. This works fantastically with all the pingers we can have in the deck. And who wants to have permanents? I do, but we don't want our opponents to. So let's force them to sacrifice them all. And look at it, it's a big crash of dinosaurs. Looks wonderful. Brings me on to my number 2 pick. And at number 2, we have Hammer of Nizam. So we talked a bit about some indestructible creatures there. Well, we're really focusing on our commander here, so let's make our commander indestructible. 4 mana for a legendary equipment. Whenever it or another equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may attach that equipment to target creature you control. Crit creature has +2/+0 and has indestructible. So this can slide straight onto our commander, and then because it's got indestructible, we can just ping it. Normally, we can only ping it twice in a turn, but thanks to this, we can ping it as much as we want for as much damage as we want, and it'll just stay alive and keep triggering and keep venturing. And +2/+0 is nothing to step out because then we got a 9/3 and we're dealing with Yargle sort of stats there, so that's really quite nice. To go along, Dark Steel Plates, 3 mana for an equipment with indestructible. And a quick creature has indestructible. Equip for 2, so really, really nice. Indestructible, wonderful. It's something we definitely want in the deck. Then, That Which Was Taken, 5 mana for a legendary artifact. Pay 4 and tap it. Put a divinity... Come on with your words. Put a divinity counter on target permanent other than That Which Was Taken. Each permanent with a divinity counter on it has indestructible, so another great way of granting indestructible. And you can use this over and over again to make all of your board indestructible. Although, if they destroy That Which Was Taken, I'd cry quite a bit. Then we've got Tyrite Sanctum, for it's a land that taps for a colours. Pay 2, tap, target legendary creature becomes a god in addition to its other types, and put a 1/1 counter on it. So that in and of itself is pretty good. Make our commander an 8/4 with trample, and you can use it over and over again. We can keep making him into a god. Keep saying, "Oh, you're quite sort of holy. Have this counter." Way, wish it was that simple. But the main sort of thing I'm interested in here is 4 mana tap. Sacrifice it, put an indestructible counter on target god. So if we made him into a god with a 1/1 counter on it, we can then make him indestructible with a counter. Hey, absolutely fantastic. Which brings me on to a slightly different take on this. While we want to make him indestructible, if we increase his toughness, that allows us to ping him for more, well, at least more times. So Sunrise Sovereign is a cool way of doing that. 6 mana for a 5/5. Other giant creatures you control get +2/+2 and have trample. So double trample yet again. And +2/+2 to our commander. So it'll be a 9/5. Yes, 9/5. That is the number. The numbers. Anyway, if we're going into Giant Tribal, why don't we play a couple of other cool giant creatures? Bone Crusher Giant, 3 mana for a 4/3 with whenever it becomes the target of a spell. Bone Crusher Giant deals 2 damage to that spell's controller. And the sort of really cool thing is 2 mana for Stomp. That's an instant. Damage can't be prevented this turn, and Stomp deals 2 damage to any target. So that 2 damage could be pointed at our commander to venture a little bit deeper into the dungeon. And the damage can't be prevented this turn. How many people out there have been blown out by a fog? I know I have. And it's utterly miserable. Well, you can't prevent my damage. I'm going to hit you with a massive giant. Really, really cool. And then we've got Calamity Bearer. 4 mana for a 3/4. If a giant source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead. This is a wonderful card, can end up having our commander just one-shot someone. Oh, you're swinging in for 7. Oh no, with this on the field, it's 14. Really, really awesome, very powerful. And the fact our commander has trample, you know, even if they throw a couple of blocks in the way, we can still deal tons of damage to them. Really, really nice. Which brings me on to my number 1 pick. And this isn't particularly, well, it sort of is to do with the deck, but I felt that this deck could, you know, be infused with a little Chandra love. Chandra's Regulator is a 2-mana legendary artifact with whenever you activate a loyalty ability of a Chandra Planeswalker, you may pay 1. If you do, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for that copy. Pay 1, tap, discard a mounting card or a red card, draw a card. So in itself, nice little looting, but being able to double your Chandra activated abilities is absolutely fantastic. And Chandra is so good for this deck because a lot of the Chandras have that deal 1 damage sort of effect, so it fits in with all the pinging theme that we're going for. Chandra's Pyromaster, 4 mana for a 4 loyalty Chandra. +1, it deals 1 damage to target player and 1 damage to up to 1 target creature that player controls. That creature can't block this turn. So yes, we're going to have to ping ourselves 1. Ooh, ouchies. But we can ping our commander using the Chandra and increase the loyalty. Then 0, exile the top card. You may play it this turn, so a nice bit of card advantage. And -7, exile the top 10 cards of your library. Choose an instant sorcery card, exile this way, copy it 3 times, and you cast the copies without paying their mana cost. So that could actually end up hitting, you know, Rile. Ooh, not the most exciting thing in the world, but we could Rile 3 times. That's 3 damage to our commander, and we're drawing 3 cards. If that's not worth 7 loyalty, I don't know what is. Then there's Chandra Flamecaller, the big girl. 6 mana for a 4 loyalty Planeswalker. +1, create 2 3/1 rare element creature tokens with haste. Exile them at the beginning of your end step. 0, discard all cards in your hand, then draw that many cards +1. So really, really nice wheel effect. Can just get you through your deck, draw tons of cards. And then finally, -X, it deals X damage to each creature. So with that, we can do 1, you know, just ping our commander and then everything else. But if we need to wipe the board, we can. Potentially, as soon as she comes in, it's 4 damage to everything, which, you know, will kill our commander. Ooh, oh dear. But we can end up wiping the board and saving our day. Chandra the Firebrand, 4 mana for a 3 loyalty Planeswalker. Deals 1 damage to target creature or player, so ping our commander. Then -2, when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose a new target for the copy. 2 Riles, here we go. Boom, headshot. And then -6, it deals 6 damage to each up to 6 target creatures and our players. So, it's alright, I guess. Not the best thing I've ever seen. Then, if we're going to be using all of these Chandras, really building around it, the Chain Veil is a fantastic include. 4 mana for legendary 4 mana for a legendary artifact. At the beginning of your end step, if you didn't activate a loyalty ability of a Planeswalker this turn, you lose 2 life. Fair enough, I'll take the damage. Pay 4 and tap it. For each Planeswalker you control, you may activate one of its loyalty abilities once this turn, as though none of its loyalty abilities were activated this turn. So this can be double pings on our commander, or potentially like double board wipes, draw tons of cards, exile cards. Really, really powerful. For 4 mana and tap, we can do tons of work. Then there's a really new Chandra here, Chandra Heart of Fire. 5 mana for a 5 loyalty Planeswalker. +1, discard your hand and exile the top 3 cards of your library. At the end of turn, you may play cards exile this way. That's a pretty dicey +1. You know, if you've gone down to like 1 or 2 cards in hand, I can see this being very powerful. But, I mean, if you've got 6 cards in your hand, is it worth it to exile the top 3 and you can only play them this turn? Probably not. But, I mean, it's very situational. It could be good. However, there is another +1. Deals 2 damage to any target. So, ping our commander. And then -9, search your graveyard and library for any number of red instant or sorcery cards. Right. Exile them and shuffle your library. You may cast them this turn. Add 6 red. So we can Rile and then Shadow, I forgot what it was called, the charm thing. Then finally, probably the best Chandra ever printed, Torch of Defiance. 4 mana for a 4 loyalty Planeswalker, +1, exile top card of your library. You may cast that card. If you don't, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. Nice ping, 6 damage spread out, really good. +1, add double red. So really gets you up there in terms of mana, can cast all the big things, can cast 2 Riles in a turn. Then we've got -3, it deals 4 damage to target creature. So we could use this on our commander if you really want to be venturing into the dungeon. Then -7, you get an emblem with. Whenever you cast a spell, this emblem deals 5 damage to target creature or player. Really, really game ending, absolutely wonderful. And those are my top 5 picks. Really, really cool commander. I love the dungeons. I just want to go deeper and deeper, down, down, deeper and down. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this, please do subscribe, like, comment, sketch me a picture of commander. I don't know. Help, I'm trapped. I'll see you soon. Bye.